All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. Yours truly rocking with you, Abdul Ali. Let's go ahead and get the day started with some positive music. This is Shabam Sadiq, produced by my twin brother, Architect Freedom. Let's get it going.
All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. So much on my brain, I'm trying to contain it all. Some wanna see me rise and others they wanna see me fall. Walking a tightrope, my balance is holding it all. Common sense to some ain't common at all. Either way, I stand tall like Shaq. Mentally a giant, physically defiant. Police might murk me cause I ain't compliant. Black power always, no more marching and crying. We gotta hit them economically and stop buying. Unless we buying our own, let's start with a home. Free the dome and the ass will follow. I do this with the spirit of James Brown and the Apollo. Student of Huey P. Newton holding a rifle. Drugs infiltrate, they spray hate in our cipher. Trick us with the media, got us following Pied Pipers. We the voice of the people, so use it wisely. I was born to leave classics for the world like the Isley. Inspire growth, love, and unity. We gotta rise, G. Open my eyes, energized, ready to ride free. All over the world, we yell freedom. It's just us and our kids struggle to feed them. Trying to stay alive, it seems they want us all dead. Messing with our food and even messing with our head. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. Mama love me, she wanna see me do better, but I'm way down by that record and that failed letter. Robberies and thuggery, misguided go-getter. Should've stayed in school, I simply should've known better. My mistakes were made for my son to learn from. Put it in songs so we could study for years to come. Past didn't start with slavery, we descended of kings. Shaka Zulu, Hannibal, Mansa Musa, they reign. And Zinga, Makita, Nana, Yama, African queens. Mothers of civilization with a song to sing. Let's get back to that Ma'at with the world on the wings. Balance the scale of justice with a feather, my man. It's a crazy world filled with wonderful things. Know yourself and come from a position of strength. Know yourself and come from a position of strength. Or straight up get bamboozled and lynched. All over the world, we yell freedom. It's just us and our kids struggle to feed them. Trying to stay alive, it seems they want us all dead. Messing with our food and even messing with our head. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom. All over the world, we yell freedom, 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 freedom.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're rocking out here on the Urban Conservative. It is Top of the Morning. It's a Wednesday morning. We hope each and every one of you all have had a positive and productive week so far. Glad that you can rock with us here on Top of the Morning. Our mission here at the Urban Conservative is to share conservative values and principles to urban communities across this great nation of ours. You can support what we do by going to the website tuconservative.com. There you can go back, get some of our previous episodes. You can click on that sponsor TUC, grab yourself a commercial, sponsor the platform, get yourself a mug, a cup, a t-shirt, something like that to help us keep the dice rolling while we do the thing we do, which is to share conservative values and principles to urban communities across this great nation of ours. Again, we appreciate each and every one of you all that have showed some love. We've got a great show lined up for you this morning. We're going to be talking a little bit about some primary elections that have taken place. We're going to talk a little bit about some surprising support for Trump. And we're going to also take a look at the press conference yesterday that popped off with President Trump's trial in New York City. You had Byron Donalds, Vivek Ramaswamy, Governor Doug Burgum. We're going to take a look at that. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, we got to give a big shout out to someone who's come on the show, supported what we do here at the Urban Conservative, for winning his primary runoff yesterday, to join Mark Robinson at the top of the ticket for the lieutenant governor space. Hal Weatherman was resoundingly victorious in yesterday's primary runoff. So a big shout out to Hal Weatherman. We look forward to having him back on the show. Also, we got to give a big shout out to Dave Boliek, who won the primary yesterday to become the Republican nominee for North Carolina State Auditor position, a position that was previously held by Democrat Beth Wood. Now Dave Boliek looking to take on Governor Cooper's appointee in that regard. Now we can, and let's go ahead and do this. What I'll do is, and you all tell me what you think about this. The reality of it is, nobody really expected a huge turnout for the runoff, but that was the results yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. 2.74% voter turnout. Now, some of that you can chalk up to the fact that it is a primary runoff, so only unaffiliated voters who pulled a Republican ballot and Republicans who voted in the primary were eligible to vote. So you can chalk some of that low turnout to that, but you can also, I think, chalk some of it up to the fact that these are not, I will say, they're not sexy races. You know, these down ballot races, unfortunately, are not as popular as the president, the governor, things like that, but highly important nonetheless. I think prior to her resigning, Beth Wood had done some wonderful audits looking at what went on in Rocky Mount and some other places. She had her eye on the ball, and someone who's looking to continue that legacy of strong auditing ought to be replacing her, and I think Dave Boliek is the right guy for that. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't even slightly close in the lieutenant governor's race. You had Hal Weatherman with 74% of the vote, a little closer, just a little closer on the auditor's race. The interesting thing is that the North Carolina lieutenant governor doesn't necessarily have the same statutory authority that a lot of other elected officials have, but they do have some very important roles to play. One, they have this massive bully pulpit. Number two, they preside over the Senate. Number three, they sit on the State Board of Education, among other very important board seats. And I think that seat is best occupied by somebody with conservative values and principles. So again, big shouts out. Congratulations to Hal Weatherman and to Dave Boliek on coming across the finish line in their primaries here in North Carolina. Now, across the country, there were some other races. Maryland had a U.S. Senate race, Democrat primary, with 66% of the votes in. Democratic primary winner was also Brooks, and the Republican primary winner was Hogan. In West Virginia, you had Elliott win the Democratic primary and Justice win the Republican. And there in Maryland's 3rd District, the Democrat primary was won by Elfreth, Republican primary Steinberger, with 6.3% margin of victory. So some primaries out there yesterday. We're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen here in North Carolina. Obviously, you got Donald Trump as president, Mark Robinson and Hal Weatherman for governor and lieutenant governor, respectively. We are going to have both of them here on the Urban Conservative, where you stop for all things politics. We appreciate you rocking with us. We're going to come back on this other side of this quick commercial break. We're going to talk just a little bit about what's going on with Donald Trump. Is he the genius that some people think he is? We'll be right back here on the Urban Conservative. Don't go nowhere. Country illegally cast a ballot. It takes the power of your vote away. Visit onlycitizens.vote to find out how you can contact your legislature and get them to pass a citizens-only voting amendment. Again, visit onlycitizens.vote and defend your right to vote. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're rocking here on the Urban Conservative. It's top of the morning, the best 30-minute morning show on the internet. Glad that you are rocking with us. Each and every Monday through Friday, we bring you the best morning show on the internet. Again, TUconservative.com, the website to support what we do here. If you're a candidate, make sure you get yourself down here to the Urban Conservative so we can help you reach our audience of thousands of folks. Now, I don't know how to chalk this up to or what to chalk this up to, but Trump has apparently stayed 5 steps ahead of he stayed 5 steps ahead of the judge here. And with this gag order being probably I'm going to say one of the most bizarre things that I've seen in politics, where you have someone, a presidential candidate who needs to really be out on the road campaigning. This part of a strategy, I think, to keep Donald Trump in the courthouse, off the campaign trail, unable to really get out there and campaign the way he should. Had a bunch of folks step up yesterday because Donald Trump can't say anything. So we're going to take a listen real quick to what Byron Donalds, Doug Burgum, and Vivek Ramaswamy had to say out front of the courtroom yesterday for Donald Trump's so-called hush money trial. Let's take a listen.
Along with our congressman and Vivek, we're here today to offer some observations of firsthand. I think one thing that we've all known is this was a sham trial, but when you have an opportunity to see it up close and personal, you can see it's actually a scam trial. When you've got a judge that's a donor to Biden, you got prosecutors that are supporters of Biden, and then you've got relatives of the judge that are benefiting financially directly from this trial and that information. And then you've got the star witness is a serial perjurer. Then you have to ask yourself, what is this all about? And I think the only conclusion, of course, is it's election interference and it's tying up the president from being out on the campaign trail. And of course, we know that from the polls that have come out, even from the New York Times, Rasmussen Interactive this week, President Trump is leading all over the country. And the conclusion you can draw from that is the American people have already acquitted Donald Trump, because the things that they're concerned about, inflation, crime, the border, the economy, all of these things, President Trump is leading by huge double digits versus Joe Biden. And the sooner that this scam trial can be concluded, the sooner that the president can get back to getting out campaigning and talking to the American people about the issues that matter to them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the congressman, then Vivek. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of America, this trial is a joke. This thing is a farce. We were in there all morning. Michael Cohen basically sat there and said, yeah, he invoiced legal expenses. The Trump campaign, the Trump organization, not the campaign, paid out money in legal expenses. Where's the crime? There is no crime. The only crime that's happening here is this Democrat judge and the Democrat Party prosecuting their political rival right in the middle of a presidential election. The crime here is that the issues facing our nation are not being addressed by the Democrats, but they want to go after Donald Trump. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that has been wrong here. Nothing that has been done poorly by President Trump. The only thing that's being done wrong is by this judge. His daughter's making money, raising money for Democrats, and all of the fundraising emails and all the fundraising things are about this trial that his daughter is using. He won't recuse himself. This is a travesty of justice. This is a misuse of the justice system. And look around New York. New York's got plenty of issues. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. You have all of NYPD's finest down here because of this travesty going on in that courtroom. Meanwhile, the citizens of New York are less safe, and the district attorney in New York is not prosecuting real crime. He's a Soros-backed DA going after his chief political rival in Donald Trump. America is better than this. And so unfortunately, it's going to take the American people this November to let their voices be heard on this travesty of justice that's occurring, and making sure that Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States. I've never seen anything like it. This is a joke. It is a farce. It is a travesty. We are better than this as Americans. And unfortunately, the Democrat Party has lost their ever-loving minds. And so it's going to take the American people to remind them that justice is supposed to be blind. It is not supposed to be going after political opponents and political rivals. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague from Florida, Congressman Corey Mills.
Thank you so much. What did we learn here today? What we've learned is that Michael Cohen has listed his invoices as being an actual legal precedent where, in fact, he's now claiming that it's something other than that and that he knowingly and fraudulently put that forward. Look, as we talked about, why do they want this trial to continue? Well, they want it to continue because this is the fundraising source for Adam Schiff, for Biden, and for the Democrat opponents. This is nothing more than election interference at its finest. You are seeing where the weaponization of what was the Department of Justice, now the Department of Injustice, has continued to be utilized against the American people and against the President of the United States. I will tell you right now, the same way that I stand here steadfast behind our president, I know that America stands with him as well. They see this sham indictment. They see this for what it is without any actual substance whatsoever. Keep in mind, they keep actually talking about the FEC violations, but when you're utilizing personal funds or you're utilizing a trust, that is not campaign funding. There is no violation, which is why the FEC never actually even pursued this. And so I think the American people see this for what it is. They want to keep President Trump off the campaign trail. They're seeing what's happening in the swing states across America, and they're seeing exactly that this is draining down assets and resources that can be utilized by the president to continue to forge ahead, to build a stronger economy, to secure our border, and to get our nation back on track. This is a sham, and that is the only thing this is. Michael Cohen has no credibility, no integrity, and this is weaponization against our president.
Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues, Governor Burgum, Congressman Mills, and Congressman Donalds for laying out the political backdrop here. This is a politicized persecution that is nakedly apparent. What I want to do is dive a little bit deeper into what we actually learned today in that courtroom. What do we see in there? First of all, I learned a lot from being in there in person. It is one of the most depressing places I have been in my life, but it is fitting because the only thing more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. Now, I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody in MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed.
We still haven't gotten that. We still don't know.
We have not heard a good answer to that question. It has been vague until today. You heard Michael Cohen's testimony, after which I would say it is less clear than ever what that crime actually was. They'll say falsifying business records. Well, let's look at who did we learn falsified business records today? Yet, what, hour, 2 hours, felt like it could have been 7 hours, of Michael Cohen talking about how he falsified business records. Okay, so you have a guy who has been a perjurer in the past that is now saying he falsified business records. What is the crime that Donald Trump committed? Now, it appears to be what they might allege is some sort of bookkeeping error or whatever. The real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats. This is unconscionable. Imagine if the same shoe fit the other foot. Imagine if it was Joe Biden that was on trial. You had a Republican judge whose son was collecting millions of dollars as a Republican operative. What would you all be saying? This would not be justice. This is injustice at its worst. So let's go even a layer deeper, right? Because let's go even a layer deeper, actually. The alleged crime here is supposedly, they try to point to this every day, that he does not actually use campaign funds, that he used personal funds. Well, let's get this straight. Suppose Donald Trump had used campaign funds to make a personal expense, they'd be going after him for that. So if they're going to get him going or they're going to get him coming, that is the best proof that this is a politicized sham. Let's go through it piece by piece. If you tell somebody to go buy you a suit and you want to look good on television because that'll affect the voters, the way voters vote for you, you know what? They prosecute politicians if they use campaign funds to buy a suit. Campaign funds to get a haircut because you want to look good to the voters, they will actually prosecute you for using campaign funds for a personal expense. Yet the entire legal theory of this case, the whole case that Alvin Bragg has brought, depends on one premise for them to charge this as a felony, is that Donald Trump somehow should have used campaign funds to make an allegedly personal payment. Yet if he had done that, their case against him would be even stronger. This is garbage. That is the best proof that you have that if they're going to get him going or get him coming, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is a sham. This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic If this were happening in another country, we would be laughing at them as a sham democracy. I am ashamed as an American citizen to sit here in a courtroom watching the former leader of the free world, and let's be honest, likely next leader of the free world, sitting with the indignity in this dingy third-rate courtroom with fourth-rate prosecutors and a fifth-rate lawyer on the stand as a witness, who actually is violating attorney-client privilege left and right. Nobody's even talking about that.
Vivek on fire, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. Vivek Ramaswamy, Doug Burgum, Byron Donalds, all speaking out at the Trump trial in New York yesterday. Now, due to the fact that Trump has a gag order, I think this was actually an ingenious move. This was pretty smart because Vivek doesn't have a gag order. Byron Donalds doesn't have a gag order. Doug Burgum does not have a gag order. So for them to be able to go up and speak their minds and to say what we all know, which is this trial is a sham, no American in their right mind would be happy if this were happening to their family member. If this level of corruption and deceit and just the lack of clarity behind what actually is being done here, we wouldn't stand for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Trump ingenious. I thought it was a smart move to have Vivek and Byron Donalds and Doug Burgum. And it's interesting to see Doug Burgum because, quite frankly, he's a great governor. I don't know that he's on the short list for for vice president. I've not in any of our polls heard anybody say Doug Burgum would make a great vice president. But you got to give the man credit for getting up there and speaking his mind and saying what we're all thinking, which is there has been no crime articulated. Donald Trump has not. We don't even know what the crime is there in New York. This whole idea behind him not using campaign money to pay Stormy Daniels, and like Vivek said, would have been danged if you do, danged if you don't. Because you cannot, and me as a federal candidate, I know, you cannot use campaign funds for personal stuff. You just can't do it. And unfortunately, the reality is when you're dealing with the level of wealth that Donald Trump has, when you're dealing with people like Stormy Daniels and, the relationship being what it is. Now, the argument is being made, and I'm going to take a quick commercial break here in a second, but the argument is being made that somehow Trump is unfit for the presidency because of his relation with Stormy Daniels, because there are all of these trials going on, because of this, that, and the third. Well, we are starting to see people snap out of it. We talked about this last week where you have rappers starting to come out in support of Trump. Even Snoop Dogg walked back his non-support of Trump. Sexy Red, the famous, up-and-coming rapper, has come out to support Trump. But one of the most interesting people that I did not foresee coming to support Trump came out the other day at his New Jersey rally. We're going to take a look at that here in just a moment on Top of the Morning on the Urban Conservative. Y'all don't go nowhere. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back. You're rocking with the TUC twins. One half of us anyway. Abdul Ali here rocking with you this morning. Top of the morning, ladies and gentlemen, the best 30-minute morning show on the internet. Excuse me. One of the most interesting things to come out of this entire Trump run and this whole situation is the fact that you're starting to see people who have been lifelong Democrats realize that the proverbial jig is up on the Democrats. They haven't produced the results that one would want to see in our major cities. When we talk about crime, we talk about poverty, homelessness, we talk about the fentanyl epidemic and the border crisis. Democrats have not done a good job. And especially when you look at the position among minority voters, they're starting to lose minority voters. And when you see people like this guy right here starting to support Trump, you know something's going on. Now, the question becomes, can you challenge the blackness? Remember, if you don't know whether you're for Trump or for me, then you ain't black. But can you challenge the blackness of somebody like a Lawrence Taylor?
I want to say I grew up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat until I met this man right here. I'll tell you what.
The Trump smile is one of my favorite things about this. Look at the mug on the guy when Lawrence Taylor says that. Straight face.
I'll tell you what.
Mug. Love it. Gotta love it.
He will not have to worry about nobody in my family ever vote for a Democrat again. Okay.
That is terrifying to the left. When you have people like Lawrence Taylor, now you're going to have to make the argument that Lawrence Taylor's an idiot. You're going to have to make the argument that Lawrence Taylor's not really black. You're going to have to make the argument that Lawrence Taylor is self-hatred. He has self-hatred for himself. You're going to have to make the argument that Trump paid him to say that. You're going to have to make the argument that he can't think for himself. You've got a long way to go. And this is the type of thing that terrifies the Democrats, is when you see people like Lawrence Taylor. I've not seen him politically involved. He just said he was a Democrat, but I can't recall seeing Lawrence Taylor in a Biden commercial or a Trump commercial or an Obama. I don't remember seeing that. If I'm wrong, jump in the comments and let me know. But the fact of the matter is, you're starting to see things like this. Let's give it one more whirl. Just because it's that dope, let's give it one more
I want to say I grew up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat until I met this man right here. I'll tell you what. He will not have to worry about nobody in my family ever vote for a Democrat again. Okay.
That is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. That is the type of energy we need going into 2024. When you start to see people in the black community, celebrities like Lawrence Taylor, we're not going to diminish his celebrity. We're not going to diminish the fact that he is beloved in the black community. We're not going to diminish the fact that he has not, I cannot recall seeing Lawrence Taylor this politically engaged and willing to come out in support of Donald Trump. Is an amazing thing, ladies and gentlemen. So you're looking at what I think is going to be an amazing 2024 cycle for North Carolina, for the country, really, for Republicans. To go back a little bit, we had our primary runoff yesterday. Congratulations to Hal Weatherman. He now joins Mark Robinson at the top of the ticket here in North Carolina for lieutenant governor against Rachel Hunt. And then shout out to Dave Boliek, who is running for state auditor. Interestingly enough, the Cooper appointee hasn't really quite done things the right way. If you don't know who Dave Boliek is, I'm going to give you a little bit of, give Dave some love here with his commercials, a pretty dope commercial. So y'all hold on a sec. Let me kill this music. We're going to give Dave Boliek some love. Introduce y'all to Auditor Dave real quick. Here we go.
48, 49, 7, 8, 9, 55, 56,
Dave runs a tight ship.
7, 8, 9. Honey,
I made breakfast.
55, 56, $57.44.
Dad makes us keep track of every penny.
We've talked about wasteful spending.
Nothing gets by Dave. Nothing.
48, 49, 50. Honey,
You need Dave and Raleigh auditing state spending.
boys,
But we really need Dave and Raleigh auditing state spending.
boys.
Conservative, Republican, Dave Bolick for state auditor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Dave Bolick running for North Carolina state auditor. winning the Republican nomination last night. Again, Hal Weatherman winning his runoff race for lieutenant governor. We are going to hopefully have both of them on the show at some point, as well as Mark Robinson. For my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto, I am Abdul Ali. You've been rocking out here on Top of the Morning, the best 30-minute morning show on the interwebs here on the Urban Conservative. We appreciate all the love. Y'all have a positive and productive rest of your Wednesday. Peace. Country illegally cast a ballot. It takes the power of your vote away. Visit onlycitizens.vote to find out how you can contact your legislature and get them to pass a citizens-only voting amendment. Again, visit onlycitizens.vote and defend your right to vote.